frequently asked that I wear the red blazer that I wore on the primary. And the reason I share this with you is not because it was a beautiful red Jones New York blazer, but because I got it at a thrift store for $6. So, we got such a kick out of it. Lots of little things like that. You know, that blazer ended up on Newsweek, Time, all over the world. So it goes to show you that, you know, you don't have to be a millionaire to run, you just need to know where to shop. But anyway, I shared that story because of the different feedback, you know, that we're getting from people. But the one thing that they all comment on is the introduction. And so I want to just close my prepared remarks with reading from you what most people seem to like. The same principles that made our country great will keep our country great. If we err, let it be on the side of liberty. If we stumble, let us pick ourselves back up and press on. If we benefit, let it be from working hard and saving smart. Let us meet our obligations to God and neighbor through way of our own hearts and checkbooks, and not some cold government bureaucracy. Let us entrust our nation to public servants who serve the public rather than themselves, and who place the next generation above the next election. Let America make peace in our world and on our borders through strength, friendship, commerce, and good common sense. These are the values and principles that built and can still rebuild a great nation. It wasn't easy then, and it won't be easy now. We will be resisted. But we must resist as well, and we must set about it. So I ask you to join me in taking the same pledge as the first generation of dissenters took. They only saw Lexington and Concord. They didn't see the dynasty of dissent that they were founded. They couldn't see Gettysburg, Normandy, or Fallujah. And what was required of them, though, is still required of us. And will be required of our children and our grandchildren. They took a pledge together, and that pledge closes the Declaration of Independence. That same pledge will preserve this, the last best hope for our planet. So let us pledge now, as they did then, to one another and to posterity, for the sake of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let us pledge our very lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. May God ever bless America.
I just wanted to take a moment and ask you something that might intrigue the people that are here. The people of Hispanic background who have been voting for the same person over and over and over again for the last 24 years, Ileana Ravalaima will be in office for 24 years come November of 2012. What do you say to these people to get out and talk to the people in the Hispanic community that says, it's time to give someone, an ordinary American, a chance. Time to give someone who is willing to put their name on the line and to say to people, let's do God's will. Let's not vote along the background of whatever your community is, but let's do what's right for America. Because truly, career politicians are killing our country. And it's time for the Hispanic community in Miami to know what to do when it comes to voting for an everyday ordinary American who has no money but has heart, who believes that God is first in all things.
Well, I think we were talking about this at dinner, and the best way that I can answer your question is to share an example of what happened in Delaware. In Delaware, where the Republicans are really bad on the social issues, there's very little difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. And recently, because my race brought to the forefront a lot of these social issues that resonate with the Hispanic community, a gentleman came to the leaders of our party and he said, you know what? Essentially, we're looking for a home. Why should we be Republican? And unfortunately, the response was more like, great, when we have a pro-life candidate, we'll let you know and you can stuff some envelopes for us. What we need to do is share, like I was talking about in the book, why, if you are for the little guy, you need to be Republican. Why these principles of limited government and free enterprise are what really respects the human person and really values that unrepeatable human dignity. What I mean by unrepeatable human dignity is that it's your worth. In socialism, which much of the argument, what is wrong with a benevolent government taking care of their people, it's convincing, especially in this economy, especially where, a government check might be more than you can earn. And I know, I talk about how in the book, right after my race against the now Vice President of the United States, I was very lucky to find a job cleaning houses. So I know how tempting it is when you make more money from the government than you would from working. But we need to share about how in that government structure, the value of a human being is reduced to that which is cost-effective. And the individual serves the government rather than the government being at service to the individual. So we need to start explaining these things. And what I mean about your unrepeatable preciousness is your worth. Now, for those of you who are married or just, even if you're not, I'm not, so I don't know why I keep resorting to married couples, because I'm not. But think of someone you love then, okay? And think of if we were able to clone, someone cloned that person. Same DNA, looks exactly the same, talks exactly the same, maybe even has the same mannerisms. Would you have a spare loved one? No, I hope you wouldn't. I'm trying to make a point for the good here. That person wouldn't be, might all exactly be the same, but it's just not that person. That's just something. And that's something that's intangible that we can't define, the Catholic Church defines as that unrepeatable, precious human dignity. That's what makes you uniquely you. And that's where your value and your worth comes from. And that's why America, being a benevolent society, needs to have an economic system that honors and values that unique preciousness. So we need to share, especially with the Hispanic community, why if this is your position on these social issues, then you must also be a fiscal conservative. And if we can articulate that, then I think that we can win over more common sense Americans. About, last week we saw the CEO of Starbucks go on national TV and say, I'm a registered Democrat, but I believe that much of this economic crisis comes from the failed leadership coming from Barack Obama. Now that CEO probably does not consider